Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's the Big Canucker here, and just kind of want to clarify some stuff here. I've got a few messages. Now, I did my Victorinox month, and one of the things I carried, of course, was the Swiss tool here as well, Spirit. This is the BK edition, which is the black, and it comes with what's called a cap crimper. As you can see, this little round thing right here. Now, I actually thought it was a like a butt connector crimper, and so now these are butt connectors. They normally come in kind of multitude of sizes, but these are the three sizes here. We've got red, which is the let's see, 18 to 20 gauge roughly. We've got blue, which is 16 gauge, 14, 16 gauge, and then we've got yellow, which is 12 gauge wire. That's using American wire gauge size. And I thought this was actually a butt connector. And I have tried to use this as a butt connector, and I could not get it to crimp using this little circle thing here. Now, maybe there's some softer butt connectors out there. These here are PVC vinyl ones with an aluminum core on it, or maybe not aluminum. It's a kind of a tin core, but I couldn't get it to crimp very well. And I just didn't have the, I mean, I squeezed on here pretty good. And even the ones that I was able to get the thing bottomed out, I wouldn't crimp. So now what I was told in uh, uh, some of the comments here lately are, especially from a gentleman by the name of, I think, of M. Savio, and he wanted to have some clarifications. Now, this is a cap crimper. Now, he sent me a link to a Felix Imler video about this, and he does actually do crimps a blasting cap, and I kind of want to gonna go over that a little bit. Now, at least at one time in my life, I used to be blast certified to 5,000 kilograms, and that was a long time ago. I worked underground at a nickel mine, and I would blow stuff up, and it was damn fun. I got to tell you, it was damn fun. And so how we did it is now I was a hard rock miner, and what we were doing is we were drilling drifts. Now, I won't go super in depth, but I will try and go a little bit in depth. Now, what we had were blasting caps, and they were probably about this long and probably about this kind of wide, but a little bit longer. And in the bottom of them, there was two leads, a positive and a negative. And what you do is you'd hook those to a electric ignition source, 9-volt battery, stuff like that. Even static could set them off. So now what you would use that for is you would use that blasting cap, and you would have something here, and this is just regular uh, wire here. It's I think it's a 4 gauge wire, shielded wire, and I'm just going to use this as kind of an example of just an example. So what we ended up doing is we would take your blasting cap, you would round it, you would tape it to what's called a blasting cord or detonator cord. Now it was basically an explosive cord. Now they said it burned, but it burned at basically 26,000 feet per second. And this is all from memory here. This is like all 20, maybe even, geez, holy cow, this is 30 plus years ago that I got my blasting certification. So anyway, things may have changed. And this is also civilian too as well. This is not military, and military may have the same thing. But anyway, you had what's called blasting cord. So now you take your main cap, you tape it to your blasting cord. Now your blasting cord would run out, and each individual little hole that you drilled in the wall would have a what was called a nonel. Now these nonels had little clips on them, and so what we do is we would take basically a diesel fertilizer mix called Amex, and they would come in little pellets, and you do what's called a pig loader. So you dump your bags of explosives in this pig loader, and you had a non-static plastic kind of hose, and you would take a non-L, stick it in the end of your hose, stick it in your 8-foot hole, and then you turn on the power or the air, and it would blow and compress these little explosive pellets in there, which with what's called a non-L. And each one of those non-Ls had a 10-foot lead on it with a little plastic clip. And you would take your blasting cord and you would clip it to that. So now those non-Ls were basically time delays. So your main blasting cap would go off, attached to your blasting cord, which would burn, and then it would hit those little plastic clips, travel into the down that 12-foot lead into the end of the nonel, and then based upon how much of a delay it would delay. So, and they're 100 of a millisecond delay. So you had 0, which is no delay whatsoever, up to 20, which is 20 milliseconds. So you're very, very center of a blasting an explosion. Let's just say you're going to take some rock. You're going to take 8 foot of rock and you're going to drill a tunnel. What you do is you drill 9 holes like that. In your center hole would be your 0. And around your center hole, you would take 3 of them and you'd ream those out bigger, and there'd be no explosives in there. So your 0 would blast out, and then everything else would blast in. And if you didn't have those 3 holes that were reamed larger with no explosives in it, what would happen is it would blast, but there'd be nowhere for the rock to move, and it would just compress with explosives basically, and or it would blow out. So that is just kind of a really quick refresher on how we used to hard rock mine and blast. And I should have grabbed a piece of paper. It would have been a little bit easier. But now, so with this cap here, now this is, I have not used these myself, but I do believe if you're in the military and you're blasting, say with like C4, or if you're setting up stuff like that and you need a blasting cap, there's some different ways that your blasting caps will work, okay? So each one of your blasting cap has got little bit of charge inside of them, and some of them are very simple, like it's just straight even gunpowder that explodes. Most of the time they're a chemical mixture, and I don't want to go into it because I don't know 100%. So what this little cap crimper is for is, let's just say you had yourself a blasting cap. Now this is going to crimp for 2 different types of blasting caps from my research that I've done. So the 2 ways are, let's just say you had a blast, and this is, just kind of a stand-in. The blasting caps are usually quite a bit longer, okay? So the blasting caps will come with a couple of leads out. You don't need to crimp those with these at all. But there are 2 different ways that these blasting caps will be set off that you will need these crimpers. One of them is called a percussion tube. And let's just basically say it's a plastic tube with the inside of it with explosive, basically. And you set that explosive off someplace. The explosive travels up the tube. You put it inside your blasting cap. Then you use your crimpers and you crimp it down. And then that percussion travels through that tube, hits the blasting cap chemicals, and then it goes off, igniting your main type of explosion. Now, the other way that I think that this could also be used is, you see it like in movies, dynamite and stuff like that, where you've got the fuse. You can put a lit fuse inside here, crimp your blasting cap with this as well, and then you light your fuse, and then it burns slowly up, and then it burns into the blasting cap, setting off your explosion. So that is the 2 ways that I think that this blasting cap crimper can be used. Now, I also wanted to show you that I did try 3 different sizes with this crimper on just regular old butt connectors from joining wire. Now, I don't have any here handy that are you can get them with a heat shrink outside. So when you actually put your your butt connector on there, then you crimp it down, you heat it up, and it actually seals itself. Those are a little bit softer than these. These are pretty darn tough. But even using this this thing here, I was not able to crimp it down. And I think, with the yellow, which seems to be the size that this would be able to crimp, I just cannot get it down. And it just will not, it'll crimp just a little bit. You can see here, you can see it just crimped just a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see inside there. Even that's cranking her down pretty good. Now this here is the actual butt connect crimper that you're supposed to use. And this is one that I actually used to sell. And it's ratchets, and it also, it's got quite a bit more force than just be able to do that with your hands. And just to show you how you can actually do it, I will crimp it here. There. And then it will not open until you completely bottom it out, knowing then that no then that tells you that you've got a really good crimp, and you can see what that does inside there. You can see the difference, how it crimps so nice. Using the other side with just this crimper here on this tool just won't seem to do it. It won't seem to crimp it enough. Now, you can still use this tool to crimp. You just are not going to be able to use this cap, and which I thought it would. That was my idea. I thought this was an actual butt connect crimper. It seems like it's too small, doesn't put enough force to crimp the blue or the red butt connectors. It will do the yellow, but it just doesn't seem to have the strength. Now you still can crimp them with this. You just have to kind of be careful, and you have to kind of use the inside here. There. And you can see that I was able to crimp it kind of down in there. It's not as pretty as the other side here, but it will work. But this is not a butt connect crimper. It is a cap crimper for explosives. And I guess, you know what? Yeah, so that just kind of explains it. I guess I kind of wonder, do I wish I had one here to show you? I don't know. I don't really feel like having explosives in the house anymore. But yeah, so M Savio, that is what's behind there. Now, if you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up as well as a subscription. I'm hoping this year we're pretty damn close to 500, and halfway to I want to hit 1,000 because I want to do some lives. I know there's some beer and blades out there. There's some stuff that people do with live. Uh, with live, oh my goodness, what the hell is happening with me here? With live feeds, live streams, and I would love to be able to do that on YouTube with you guys too as well. So thank you so much for listening to my little bit of a ramble. Have yourself a great day. Please stay safe out there. Keep the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.